think it's cricket, but I'm not sure. But I think it's cricket because I think it was Holbein.
Here it comes.
I think it's a hat. I mean, again, you know, I'm not. It's either Berlin or Paris, and I think it's Paris.
Q. Whittock.
Do you think it's a Google?
But you thought it was a nano.
It's 2001. Britain is obsessed with Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, a quiz show promising ordinary people the chance to win extraordinary sums if they can outthink 15 questions under the blazing studio lights. Millions have tried. Few have succeeded, but one night in September would change the show forever. It would become a story not just about winning, but about trust, ambition, and a single, well-timed cough. Act 1. The Unlikely Champion. Major Charles Ingram wasn't your typical trivia champion, an army officer polite with a warm smile, but in previous quiz appearances, let's just say, his scoreboard stayed modest. He wasn't alone. His wife Diana had also played, winning a respectable sum, and her brother had been on the show too. The Ingrams, it seemed, were a family with a taste for the hot seat. When Charles's turn finally came, his early game wasn't promising. He burned through lifelines fast. He doubted himself aloud, changed his mind constantly, and appeared lucky rather than confident. But then something shifted. From the middle tier onwards, his answers started hitting the mark with eerie precision. One by one, he climbed the money ladder, 16,000, 32,000, 64,000, until he faced the final question for £1 million. A number 1 followed by 100 zeros is known by what name? Charles paused, unsure. He toyed with the options, then settled on Google, a quirky, almost guess-like choice. The answer was right. Britain had a new millionaire, but backstage, the celebration was already cooling. ACT2, a suspicious pattern. When producers reviewed the recording, something unusual caught their attention. Ingram's habit was consistent. He'd read the options, dismissed the correct one, then, after some hesitation, circle back to it and lock it in. And there was another detail. A sound, a cough, not random. It seemed to appear when the right answer was spoken. The studio audience is mic'd for ambience, but this was different. The coughs often came from one spot, the seat of Tequin Whittock, another contestant due to play soon. Ingram, I think it could be A. Cough, Ingram. Actually, I'll go with A. Once noticed, the pattern was hard to ignore. Act 3. The alleged conspiracy investigators reconstructed the timeline. The night before Charles's £1 million win, filming had been paused after the 4,000 question. Overnight, it's alleged, Charles, Diana, and Tequin agreed on a plan. Charles would read each answer out loud. A cough from Tequin would signal the correct choice. Diana, seated in the audience, might cough too if needed. During the second day of filming, there were nearly 200 coughs recorded. 19, the prosecution claimed, were perfectly aligned with correct answers. The game's apparent wild swings of confidence now had an explanation, or so the producers thought. Act 4, from millionaire to defendant. Before Charles could even touch his prize money, the show's managing director phoned him. Charles, we've reviewed the tape. We believe there were irregularities. The check will not be released. The matter is going to the police. The press smelled blood. Headlines dubbed him the coughing major. 18 months later, the trial began. The courtroom replayed the infamous footage, coughs and all, to a captivated public. All three, Charles, Diana, and Tequin, were found guilty of procuring the execution of a valuable security by deception. The million was never paid. The Ingrams were now national villains. Charles and Diana have never admitted guilt. Their explanation: coincidence. Tequin had a chronic cough, worsened by nerves. They argue, if they'd planned to cheat, would they really have chosen such an obvious signal? Supporters point to flaws. Studio acoustics made it hard for contestants to hear audience noises clearly. The prosecution's case relied heavily on selectively edited footage. Statistical evidence showed the cough pattern was unlikely, but not impossible, to be random. While the Ingrams took the heat, another more sophisticated scheme was operating, one that wasn't even illegal. Paddy Spooner, a former quiz champion, and Keith Burgess created a covert contestant training syndicate. They taught paying clients how to pass the contestant selection process, master fastest finger first, and even set up fake phone-a-friend networks where multiple people would search for answers in real time. Between 2002 and 2007, the group helped over 200 contestants get on the show, winning more than 4 million combined, roughly a quarter of all prize money in that period. Unlike the Ingrams, they faced no charges. For the Ingrams, the price was devastating. Charles resigned from the army. Diana lost friends. Their cat was killed, windows smashed, and bags of vomit hurled at their home. Their children endured bullying at school. Tequan Wittock's teaching career ended. Even decades later, the label cheater clings to their names. Were the coughs the product of a clever con, or just bad luck magnified by suspicion and television editing? In an era when quiz shows were the pinnacle of family entertainment, this case shook public trust, and it left us with a truth as strange as fiction. Sometimes fortune and ruin are separated by nothing more than the sound of a cough, and so the £1 million stayed with the show. The scandal lived on, and a question still hangs in the air. If you were in that chair, one question from changing your life forever, what would you risk?